So it's important to establish rules. Rules can really come into having that conversation, boundaries. It's also setting those rules with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you find something that works in life and you evolve and build upon that, that's what's going to make you win. I understand that in the morning I'm the most creative, so my rule in the morning is that I do my creative work for the day. And then after I go into the daytime, it's not that I'm not any less productive, it's just that's when I do my technical time. And those are the rules I have for my life, so I'm also most productive with myself.
Yeah, well, and I know that's your time, that's your personal time by yourself, and so I'm not like, hey babe, I need you to do this, or hey babe, I need you right now,
Well,
most of the time.
You don't do that ever.
But like, it's just, I know that's your personal time that you need to set your day up for success, so I respect that as one of your rules personally.
Welcome back to the Prosperous Life Podcast. This is Braiden Belnap. I'm a transformation life coach, entrepreneur, and each week I bring you a transformational message that will allow yourself to live really a life that's authentic to yourself, create a vision for life so that you can live a prosperous life while making an impact. This week I have my beautiful wife with me,
Hello,
Maeghan Belnap.
everybody. Hello, people of the pod.
She is an amazing hairstylist, one. She just has a natural talent of being creative. And a lot of the technical side of things and creatives that you see is all her. From the podcast cover to the edits to the posts.
I'm quite an artist.
Yes. I want to take a moment to thank you all that consistently show up every single week. The ones that consistently show up and put in the effort to transform themselves. Sure, the most important reason to do that is for yourself, but everybody else is benefiting you. Whether you feel like people are watching you or not, people do watch and you're making an impact whether you're trying to or not.
100%. When you improve your life and you do things for yourself to improve your like mindset and physical well-being and all that kind of stuff, you're in turn gonna help impact those around you in a positive way.
Yes. So this week we are talking all about relationships. Now,
Dun dun dun. I'm just kidding.
this isn't about lovey-dovey relationships, and yes, a solid 50% of it is. But the most important thing to understand is if you can win in your own relationship with yourself, you have the trust in yourself, you have the respect with yourself, and you love yourself, and you understand it's a journey for yourself. If you can understand that relationship, which is the most important one in your entire life, you can win in a lovey-dovey relationship.
100%.
With that in mind, there's really 3 areas that you need to succeed in a relationship.
Well, there's more, but we'll just talk about 3 today. The 3
The 3
foundations.
main ones. Well, there's a lot that goes into a relationship, but the 3 most important ones are here.
Mm-hmm.
If you can succeed in these 3 different areas in a relationship, really everything else is going to fall into place.
Yep. So what are we going to be talking about today, Braiden?
The first one of the most important ones, is becoming and being your authentic self. A lot of people in this world, I should say everybody, has been told who to be and what to do in this world.
Well, how to act to, like, society standards and things like that.
Parents, friends, family, society, go to college, get a degree, be realistic.
Or even just, like, women. Like, when you get married, it's like, have kids, like, get a house, have kids, do this, do this, do this. Like, people just have these expectations, and not everybody wants to fit in that shoebox.
Yeah, and nobody should want to fit in that shoebox. Because then you really are just a number living based off of what everybody else wants you to be. But what about you? It starts with you. It starts with becoming authentically yourself. The reason, and not, of course, there's a lot of reasons for sadness, depression, suicide rates going up consistently year after year. Not to say that this is the biggest reason. I would have no idea. Although I do know, based upon my previous experiences with myself, when I was acting out of accordance of what I knew I was capable of becoming or being, or out of accordance with what my standards were, my values, my beliefs, I had way more sadness than when I've been authentic.
Or when you're trying to live up to the expectation of people. When you're not like living the life that you want to live. When you're not in the career that you want. You're not hanging out with the people that you want. You're kind of settling for other people's expectations of you. It's really easy to like become depressed, become sad because you're not doing what you want in life and following your dreams and achieving your goals.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If you can become your authentic self and you really drive that home. Now, if you don't know who your authentic self is right now, that's fine. Again, as I mentioned, journey. It's a journey to find your authentic self, and you're always becoming something. So what's important is that you begin to explore. If you don't know who you are, what you want to be in this world, whether you're just starting life right out of high school, or whether you're just retired or just divorced, there's always a time that you can become something that you choose. It doesn't need to be, you don't need permission. You can give yourself permission to start exploring yourself in the world.
Well, it's just as simple as, oh, I like to bake. Okay, I'm going to do this recipe or this. Like, find the small things in life that, like, bring you joy because you'll be able to, like, take those little small moments of joy and expand on those and learn more about yourself and things. Like, even reading. Like, if you love to read. Like, find those hobbies that you really enjoy to do. You really enjoy doing.
Exactly. And that leads to accepting each other for who they are. I am very grateful for my relationship with you and very grateful for it because
We build each other up.
no, it's that if I couldn't be my authentic self in a relationship or ever, I would rather not be in a relationship at all.
I agree with that. I'm glad. And we really set goals together. We're really good about like, hey, babe, I want to try this. Can we, like with Braiden's coaching, it's like, hey, babe, I want to be a life coach. Is that something like you can support me with? And it's like, yes, what do we need to do to like fulfill that for you? And let's come up with a game plan of how to get you there. And even with hair, like Braiden supported me, not just me, like supported us financially and everything while I was going through hair school. And so it's really just about like being a team and accepting each other for what you want to accomplish and things, and like coming up with a game plan of how you can support each other.
Exactly. That's the most important thing. I know some of you out there have been masked up, not just since COVID started, but before COVID started. Unmask yourself. It's time. Be yourself. Shine. It's your time. Even if you guys that have been in a relationship for a couple of years, even 10, 20, 30 years, if you haven't shown your true authentic self to the other person, give them an opportunity to love you for who that you are. You may be scared to, but the moment you let go, become yourself, and give your family, your soulmate, your family, yourself the opportunity to love you for you, that's the moment that life will feel a little bit more
Easy
light
and fulfilling too.
Yes. Amen to that. Now that leads us into the second, one of the most important things as well. I'm going to say that every single time.
I'm going to say this is one of the most important ones, because the next subject is expectation versus rules.
Expectations lead to, And I should highlight first, expectations are created by one person. Rules are created by either you and your
Both.
spouse and or
It's a mutual decision.
correct. And expectations, that those can also go for self. Rules can also
Yeah.
go for self.
Well, family, friends, relationships, it can go literally with anything in your life. It's not just in romantic relationships. Having expectations of family, expectations of friends, expectations of yourself that are unrealistic can really negatively impact you.
Expectations lead to disappointment, which lead to anger and arguments and
Resentment.
which after you get angry and you yell at your spouse a couple hundred times, you're gonna
Couple hundred times.
it's gonna lead to resentment, and resentment's the secret killer of everything.
Once you get to that point, because resentment doesn't just happen in like minutes, it happens slowly over time. And I feel like when you resent something or someone, it's like so hard to let that resentment go because it's like all these feelings just build upon each other and it creates this like wall.
Resentment is when it isn't just in your conscious mind, it's in your subconscious mind. Resentment is where
It's like
You
one little
get-
thing sets you off.
resentment is where you settle. Resentment is where you begin to find reasons why not to be with somebody instead of finding reasons to be with somebody. Resentment is finding reasons not to achieve your goals, not to fulfill your goals, not to chase those dreams, those visions, instead of finding the reasons to do so.
Like you start, like the resentment starts and then it's like I said, one little thing will set it off. And so it's like you're not communicating with the other person. You're not telling your true feelings. And so you're like, oh no, it's okay. It's okay. But really deep down inside, you're like, no, it's not okay.
Amen to that. And the thing with that is, and Tony Robbins says it the best, kill the monster when it's a baby. Like, don't allow it to grow big. When something bothers you, and I'm not saying you get home from work and you're like, had something bad happen that day.
Like
Just
blow
because
up.
there's something small, understand your current state as well. There's an appropriate time to have a conversation.
And it's the best time to have a conversation is when both people are like level-headed and like it's not going to turn into like this big fight and this big argument. Like it's when both people can really have a conversation and genuinely listen to each other and see, like give each other the benefit of the doubt, like see where the other person is coming from. Like for example, we'll just use making the bed. It's my favorite example in the world because it's so small. But let's say I come home from work and I have this expectation that I want Braiden to make the bed every day. But I don't tell him I want him to make the bed every day. I'm just like, this is so annoying that I come home and our bed's not made. When we could have a conversation and say, hey babe, like you're working from home right now, could you make the bed? And it's just easy to have those conversations versus like me building up that resentment every single day, coming home and seeing this or seeing that, you know? And so it's just easier to like kill the monster when it's a baby and just have a sit down conversation of, hey, these are my needs and what can we do to work together to support my needs.
And luckily for me, that has not happened.
No.
So. Just kidding.
What? I haven't asked you to make the bed.
Yes.
You asked me to
Anyways.
make the bed.
Anyways, so it's important to establish rules. Rules can really come into having that conversation, boundaries. It's also setting those rules with yourself. When you find something that works in life and you evolve and build upon that, that's what's going to make you win. I understand that in the morning I'm the most creative, so my rule in the morning is that I do my creative work for the day. And then after I go into the daytime, it's not that I'm not any less productive. It's just that's when I do my technical time. And those are the rules I have for my life, so I'm also most productive with myself.
Yeah, well, and I know that's your time. That's your personal time by yourself. And so I'm not like, hey, babe, I need you to do this, or hey, babe, I need you right now.
Well,
most of the time.
You don't do that ever.
But like, it's just, I know that's your personal time that you need to set your day up for success. So I respect that as one of your rules personally. And
Correct.
so it's just like important to find each other's needs. Like when I come home from work, I need downtime for just a second and things like that. Like it's just supporting each other with your needs, with your wants, of being able to establish like, okay, this is what my partner needs. This is what my friend needs. This is what my family member needs. And being able to have open communication too, and not getting offended about what the other person has to say. Because I think it's easy sometimes to like take things personal when they're not actually personal.
Well, luckily for rules is that doesn't, there's a fine line there. A rule isn't established by me saying this is our rule. That is an expectation.
No, it's both
Just
parties.
because somebody wants something doesn't mean they get their way. It means that there's compromises, there's things that will take place. And that goes for everything. Finances.
Well, even
fitness.
with like coaching, like we had a conversation of like, we weren't spending a lot of time together. And so I was like, hey, babe, can we maybe spend a little bit more time this day of the week? Like instead of you getting done at 9, can you get done at 8 or something like that with coaching? And like that was, it's a compromise kind of situation where he still gets to be able to be successful with his coaching, but then we also get more time for our relationship.
Correct. And something to highlight with that is there's quality and quantity of time too. So just because you set a rule, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the most successful rule, be able to evolve over time.
Yes.
With that in mind, that leads us right into
Supporting each other and having the economy of the family.
economy of family and economy of self is the most important thing. Everybody understands the economy of government. An economy of government has multiple sources of income, strong leadership, strong leaders, has separation of government, separation of church and state. It has many factors into it. It has the technical side, it has the creative side, it has the marketing and scaling side, it has the relationships.
And everybody works as a team to fulfill a common goal.
So how strong is your economy of family? Do you have multiple sources of income? Are you financially free? Are you debt free? Or do you rely on more people than yourself? When you can't fulfill a need, are you fulfilling it with yourself internally? Or are you relying on other people to fulfill your need and goal? If you're relying on other people more than yourself, your economy is probably weak. Most divorces, 50% of divorces are usually caused by finances. If you cut that out alone,
Well, finances and I think communication.
it boils down to finances. That's a fact.
Well, yeah. But there's some people like that can't communicate with each other and it causes divorces as well.
Well,
But
that's
finances is a
definitely-
huge...
I'm not saying communication is not a thing. It comes down to finances, and that's what comes down to an economy. If you have a strong economy and you have strong finances, it usually is going to come down to that you're able to rely on yourself for the other things, the medical, the relationships, the food, the technology, the other resources. And it's not that finance is the only resource. The resource that we're limited to, and all humans are limited on the same level, is time. You, of course, can create other resources with time. Although if you have a strong finance basis, that allows you to create other resources.
100%.
I'm not saying money is everything in a family.
No, but money definitely helps.
Correct. And other than family, how is your food resources? Are you able to rely on yourself? Are you relying on charity or church or family or friends? It's not to say that it's an issue to rely on other things, but do you have a plan in a place to bring that resource to yourself in the future? It's okay to get help. I've had help. Megan's had help. We've always been in that place. It's a matter of having a plan and a path to move past
Have
that.
independence.
Financially, food, medical. Do you have the resources to get yourself taken care of in a state of emergency? That goes right back to food. Do you have a food storage to where in a state of emergency where everything goes to hell,
You can feed
you're
yourselves.
okay? There's a lot that goes into a family economy, but ask yourself, how strong is my economy as a family?
Well, and I think supporting each other, like supporting goals, is a huge thing. Like you said, you have to have strong leaders. So if you have a leader, we'll say, one person in the relationship or, just somebody in your life, and you're like, oh, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to do, these are my goals, and they're like, well, that's dumb. That's stupid. Why do you want to do that? You're not going to be able to have a strong economy because you're going to feel like you have to do that alone. And so it's really important to be able to, like, support your partner or support, like, family, support friends in your life and be able to be that person that's like, you know what, let's do it. And within reason, because I think you have to have a plan, because that's the different, like, there's a difference between dreaming and having a goal. And having a goal is having a plan. And so that's another thing. People can dream all day, but you have to have a plan and goals and to be able to set that dream in action.
Amen. Amen to that. So yeah, be your authentic self. Develop rules that set you up for success. And most importantly, understand that this is a journey of 1,000 miles, and it starts with a single step. So understand your economy of family. If you don't have a strong economy right now, if you don't have rules right now and you just have expectations, and if you have no idea who you are, that's okay. Understand that and develop a plan and a journey to get there.
Like, to find your authentic self, like, write down your hobbies, write down the little things in life that make you happy, to set an expectation, like, to be able to set, like, rules in a relationship versus expectation. Talk to the other person and say, these are my needs, what are your needs, how can we support each other better and grow together. And then, like, supporting goals and having a healthy family economy, decide what you want your finances to look like. Decide what, like, you need help with from each other, like your strengths and weaknesses. Figure out what one person's strengths are, what one person's weaknesses are. And that can go, like, if you have kids and you're, like, you can, like, use everybody's strengths to help benefit the family and to be able to run a smoother household. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Well, let's take 2 questions.
Okay.
Megan put a questionnaire out and got a couple questions, and we decided that we will take 2 of them.
Okay, so I think, let's see, which ones do we want to do?
Let's start with the first one.
Okay, so what are the best ways to prioritize each other and have date nights?
I think this comes right down to it, is rules. What is, for me and her, we would prefer to have, like, date night twice a week, of course, but we make sure
To have it at least
minimum once a week.
And we also switch off date nights. So, like, I'll pick a date night, he'll pick a date night, I'll pick a date night. So that one person doesn't ever feel like they're, like, not being able to choose. Yeah. So I think we used to not do that. And then date night would come around and we would both try to, like, figure out what we wanted to do together. And then, like, one of us is like, I don't really want to do that, or that sounds really fun. And so it's kind of made it a little bit easier for both of us to be able to have our needs met with date nights, because we both have the opportunity every other week to pick what sounds fun. Yeah. And then I think, like Braiden was saying, quality over quantity, about prioritizing each other and, like, spending time with each other. A huge one is, like, not being on our phones, which I suck at because I have a hardcore phone addiction. But like, I think putting your phone down and like actually spending some like very good quality time with your partner is a really good way to prioritize each other and like be able to like just connect. Like, it's so awesome when like we just have the opportunity to just have conversation. And like, yes, we've been together for almost, I think, like 6 years now. And like, we still have things that we can learn about each other, which I think is really cool. So I think that's like a good way to prioritize each other, is having like setting a date night and then putting the phone down is like a huge one. Or instead of watching a movie, play games or something like that.
Prioritizing date night comes down to setting the rule of you and your other half establishing what your minimum allowed is. If you haven't had any date nights, that's fine. Make it once a month, twice a month, and then grow from there.
Yeah.
So just setting the rule of how many times and when you will do that.
And even just like 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes before you go to bed, just to talk, just to sit there and cuddle, or like do what works for you and your partner. But like just those 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day can really change your relationship.
Coming down to it, it's just a matter of communicating, figuring out when you will have date night, what day of the week, and what's your minimum number of dates that you'll have in a week.
Yep.
Let's take one more.
So I don't know, which one do you want to do? Should we do that one? That one's kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, what is our favorite thing that we have done together?
One of my favorite things is just asking questions as we drive. It's always nice to listen to music, but I think it's important to have those good quality conversations.
I have a deck of... I got it in a kid's meal at Chick-fil-A, believe it or not. Because I'm 5 years old, and that's what I get when I go to Chick-fil-A. But it was pretty cool because for a minute there, they were doing these like question cards. So they had 5 decks of different questions. And so I actually just keep that in my car. And like if we're driving, we'll just ask each other the questions in the deck of cards. I forgot, there's a game on Amazon. What is a talking point, I think is what your mom got us.
Something like that.
But that's a really good, I think they just sell it on Amazon. I think it's called Talking Point, but those are good cards to do like with family as well. Like I think it's really cool to get, and friends, like it's a good game to get to know people on a deeper level.
Yeah. I think the other thing is just making, and again, coming down to rules, is making it's a priority that we get at least out 2-3 nights a year, just me and you. Like, it's always good to go on trips with family and things of that nature, but getting out just me and you to spend time outside of the house, alone time.
I think one of my favorite things that we do is go to Park City every year for our anniversary. Like, I love that we have that tradition because it's nice just to kind of, like, and it's nice because it's close, it's easy to go just for the weekend, and it's, like, a different vibe than here, and I think it's just, and there's a lot to do in Park City, too. There's a lot of fun stuff, so that's one of my favorite things that we do, so I think, like, going on vacation and, like, just getting out, I think is fun.
Well, I want to thank you, Megan. If you want to follow her beauty page, it's Maebell Beauty.
Yes, it's Maebel Beauty.
So you'll see her talent there. Reach out to her if you have any questions. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It was fun to do a podcast together, and I think it was fun to answer some questions too from people.
I agree. With that in mind, thank you so much for being my amazing wife.
Thanks for being an amazing husband.
Yep. With that in mind, thank you again so much for coming back each and every week. If you found this podcast transformational in any sort of way, I'd encourage you to leave a comment. Reach out to me on Braiden Belnap on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and DM me your takeaways, things I could do better, things that I would love to hear that have transformed for you, so I know how I can evolve and become the best version of myself for you as well. With that in mind, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.